The journey down that river is though travelling back to the earliest beginnings of the world. Vegetation rots on the earth where big trees felled by past floods presently sink into a quagmire of tangled weeds. They are as though fallen kings felled in battle over this strange place, where in death they are devoured by carnivorous plants dining in slow motion. Long stretches of the waterway run on into the gloom of overshadowed distance. On silvery sandbanks, ibis, fruit bats and water rats take refuge around the polluted waters side by side. The broadening waters flow onwards, passing decaying remains of industry, strangled streamlets and clandestine pipes emitting strange odours reminiscent of your worst toxic dreams. You can lose your way on that river, bewitched and cut off forever from everything you have known. This is somewhere far away in another existence perhaps, and yet the stillness of life is not a refuge of peace, but an implacable force of inscrutable intention. The river looks at us and entices us all with vengeful aspect.
I wasn't going to be in this crazy project at first. Much of the route is unknown. We don't know where we're going. The river is a complete problem. There's blocks of concrete falling in the water that will block our way, that we have to portage. It's just an unknown problem. No one's ever done this before.
Passing under a motorway on the right is the main Duck River watercourse that reaches 10 kilometres to an ignominious start from an underground culvert.
I was studying documentation photography techniques under Alan Green, and when this opportunity came up, I jumped at the chance, but Alan wasn't happy that I was leaving. It's my job to record the group's journey, any environmental degradation we see along the way, and any industrial artifacts we might find. The plan is I will begin my paddle at the headwaters of the Duck River and rendezvous with the main group at the Helen Street confluence, taking pictures along the way. Passing the confluence is only possible after a rain event, which is currently rapidly coming up from Sydney south. Really? God, get out of here. Oh my God. I've had it! Ugh. I nearly took a nosedive back there when I crashed into a sofa that was hanging from a tree. I might catch something from this disgusting mess. It's no wonder that no one has ever done this expedition before, because no one in their right mind would ever do this expedition. It's disgusting. I can't do it. I'll see you guys later. Maybe.
Copy, Conrad.
Conrad here, copy.
We're having a problem.
What problem, over?
We've lost our photographer. Yeah, she just couldn't take it anymore. She flipped out and said she wasn't going to do it anymore and just walked off. We need a replacement.
All right, we'll start looking for one as soon as possible.
Oh, excellent. Please, we're on standby. I look forward to seeing your new person. Ah, Conrad sent you?
Yes.
Ah, excellent. So you can swim?
Yes.
You can paddle a kayak?
Yes.
And you're a photographer?
Yes.
Oh, good. I have a camera for you. So your job is to photograph anything that moves and of interest, and to document the expedition.
What happened to the last girl?
Well, we've got a bit of a difficult section up ahead. There's few obstacles along the way. We need to get past them, and then things should get better, okay?
Okay. Ew, this is gross. When Conrad asked me to be a photographer, I jumped at the chance. It was a golden opportunity. This wasn't quite what I had in mind.
This is the headwaters of Duck River. It comes from somewhere underground, possibly a spring. It was covered over years ago. We will start our expedition from here. Here we are at the headwaters of Duck Creek, as opposed to Duck River. It's a tributary of Duck River. Here it goes underground. Where it comes from, nobody knows. We're going to go, we'd like to start from here and go down the canal, but it goes around this tight bend and the kayak won't go around it. So we have to pick it up just a little bit further downstream.
Conrad asked me to join the trip when he heard I'd been down here in a boat before. I left out that last time I went down, my kayak got stuck in a bunch of plastic bags and wrapped up and completely bogged, and I ended up having to ditch out. So we'll see how that experience contributes to our endeavour. I think we have a pretty good chance of getting through this time because there's been a lot of heavy rain in the last few days, which should have washed a lot of the plastic bags out of the river, well, down into Parramatta River. So good news for us because our kayaks won't get bogged. Bad news if you're a fish in Parramatta River. Just up ahead, round the corner, is Ibis Island, where you've got hundreds and hundreds of ibises that roost. They're raising their chicks, so they'll freak out if you get close. It's a beautiful sight. Even if you love birds, you'll smell the guano and perhaps change your mind. Just after the island, the river narrows. Last time we got stuck there.
Are you able to go forward a little bit?
Yep. But since then, I think it will have been cleared. There's lots of trees there. A whole heap of them have been killed, strangled by the lantern vine. Another of my favourite introduced species to this river would be lantana. The flowers you might think are quite beautiful, but it stretches out from the banks of the river, strangling everything, sapping nutrients from the soil and killing everything around it. But it's very pretty, isn't it? Aren't we glad we've got it? So you can fight your way through the lantana if you're feeling brave, but any contact with it will leave itching, it'll be very scratchy all over your skin, and you'll immediately need to wash it, which is less than convenient when you're paddling down a river which is so polluted that if you stick your arms in it, they might dissolve off.
We scored a laptop!
There's never been a time where Duck River has been completely clean, or where it was like such a prideful little, strip. It's always been like this, and I think progressively it's just getting worse. You look at Japanese gardens, it's so beautiful, so pristine and so clean, and then just 3 steps towards the left, you see this. I mean, I feel like if I ever saw someone toss, I would definitely say, like, why are you doing that? There's like so much rubbish bins. But I guess it's all about that, leading by examples, like in terms of like community. And if we can take pride of this beautiful area that we do have, then we would be prideful of it and take care of it and not see it and go like basically to neglect. I've been coming here for such a long time, almost my whole life. And I would love to see it be somewhere where it's safe, it's beautiful, and I would hope that the council would do something, some community awareness, some initiatives to get this place to be what it can be.
Eventually the river opens up and the paddle gets a bit easier. There should be less rubbish floating in the water. But last time I was at this spot, there's a spot where you can see that people have backed their cars up to the river and thrown plastic bags of rubbish into the river. Some of the bags didn't even make it into the water, and they're still lined up on the riverbank. Don't they have rubbish collections in this part of the world?
The plastic tree harvest will be bountiful this year.
I represent the Parramatta River Catchment Group, which is an alliance of Parramatta River councils, state agencies and the community. If we had a scale of 1 to 10, Duck Creek falls into a number 1 category.
I think the big thing, as you can see, is a volume of plastic that's already here. But to deal with the volume of plastic, we've got to deal with how it gets here. There's too much plastic in our society, and too much of it is just thrown away and not recycled. So it ends up in our waterways.
I mean, Maritime is doing an end-of-pipe solution by collecting this stuff once it's in the Parramatta River, and they collect over 200,000 tonnes of litter annually from the Parramatta River alone.
Overall, I'm optimistic for the future about the river, but I've seen very little progress in 4 or 5 years. So councils and governments are saying they're doing something. I walk along the river virtually every day. I've seen very little improvement.
We need sustainable funding for stormwater infrastructure. Sustainable funding for that is very difficult. Councils generally bear the burden of stormwater infrastructure. People don't see stormwater gross pollutant traps, they're called. They're all hidden underground, and they're the things that will capture this kind of litter, but they cost hundreds and thousands to maintain every year.
I've heard that up to $95 million has been allocated to environmental strategies and waterway strategies to deal with the plastic waste issue. I don't see a lot of improvement. I don't think people get out and actually have a look. I think they're running a paper strategy and a media strategy. I don't think they're running a strategy which will really make the changes to stop the waterways being polluted. I feel like it's a tip. I get really angry about it, but I feel there's no point in getting angry if you're not willing to do something. So I've decided, for me, this is a slow burn issue, that I'm just going to be on it till the end of time, until it gets better overall. I got interested in this because I saw the Parramatta River, where I live, turning into a tip, and I was ashamed.
It is a complex issue when there's so many stakeholders involved, and that's why we need the Parramatta River Catchment Group to bring all these stakeholders together. I could see Duck Creek and Duck River becoming a beautiful recreation area for people to enjoy.
Plastic everywhere. It looks like a Woolworth's gone horribly, horribly wrong. There's some boards, and I saw a shopping trolley just sticking out of the mud. Bottles everywhere. There's this oil substance all over the river. A whole bunch of balloons. Oh, it looks like it's someone's 50th birthday. Oh, great. Okay, this entire bank is just filled with water bottles. There's the remains of an old trestle bridge over the river. Under the surface, I could see twisted rail lines. There's rusty boilers and bits of steam engines sticking out of the banks and through the river. Fortunately, this section of the river opens up a bit, so we're not struggling to get the boats through. I'm trying not to touch the interesting things in the river along the way. There's plastic bags hanging from the tree like fruit. Oh, now we got a plastic bag filled with water bottles. Conrad promised it would get better, and it did. It's majestic and picturesque. However, I did manage to get a few bars on my phone and look this place up. It is filled with chemicals, all of them carcinogenic. And now I know why the other girl left. I'm gonna need a long shower when I get home.
Camellia. 6 hectares were purchased by developers with a canny vision for the future. 2 weeks later, a resale to Transport New South Wales scored them a profit of $15 million. Decontamination responsibility passed with the sale, to be taken instead from the public purse, which will exceed $100 million. A dismantled petrochemical plant is churned by diggers and front-end loaders striving to medicate poisons contaminating the terrain. That is, benzene, toluene, xylenes, ammonia, glycols, hexavalent chromium, which are infused with the ground, silently percolating in underground flows. As in Pandora's tale, at the bottom of the box of evil lies hope. Behind mangroves near the meeting of the Parramatta River and Duck River is hidden wetland, currently squashed on all sides by industrial properties. That refuge could be expanded to give some hope in reversing the devastation thrust upon the very existence of migratory bird populations. So we near the end of our journey through the dark heart of Duckness. Is this a joke? No, this is deadly serious.